Welcome back, fellas.
What's up, boys?
What's up, guys?
Don't know how much time they have, so we'll just get straight to our guest, or guests plural. We have Commissioner and Commissioner's assistants with us today.
Gentlemen, it's good
Hey.
to see you this evening.
Always a pleasure.
Our intro song might have been a little startling there. Sorry.
No, we're past it. We're into the content.
Olivia and Riley, how are you doing this evening? What do you think about fantasy football? Good or bad? Well, Dave, we want to be conscious of your time. So we know you have kids to take care of. We have playoff things to cover. We have some strength of schedule things to cover. We have Maresco versus Josh things to cover. Anything in particular you'd like to start with?
I just express my thanks to the league for 12 good weeks of competition and a few more to go. For those of you who haven't done potty training yet, I'd recommend not doing it during fantasy football season. But no, it's good. It's good. I'm happy to talk through whatever you want. I've got about 10 minutes. I sent out that path to the playoffs thing earlier today, which I'm pretty proud of that product. I'd say it's one of my seminal products. So I'm happy to talk through that. But whatever you guys want to chat about. Happy to talk about how dominant Maresco is, how he really needs to.
No. That's not a topic. Not a topic we cover on this show.
We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Pass to the playoffs. We can dig into this. Yeah, that's right. Real exciting. I know some of the slides are denser, so probably more kept for people to review on their own as you sent out, Dave. But I think this is kind of the meat and potatoes, right, of the middle of the pack breakdown.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm a little generous with the bubble just because you never know how things are going to shake out. Right? I think I put a blurb in there about Maresco last year at this time in week 12 was in 10th place, and I think I had a very positive outlook on his team in this product at this time last year. So you never know. You never know what could happen. But I'd say that the top teams, right, those 7-4 squads are probably looking pretty good, right? So even though they're technically on the bubble, Kevin, Josh, and Dan, I think it would take quite a bit for them to fall out. Just mathematically, they're 2 games up. We've only got 3 games to play, so anything could happen. But I really think it's like the 6 and 7 spots. That's what could potentially be up for grabs, and it's going to take quite a few teams at 5 and 6. But then you got a bunch of different tiebreakers, right? Teams like Matt are positioned pretty well to jump in if they just get like one more win. But teams like yours, Clark, or mine, or Nat's will have to win quite a few. Because there's teams that are ahead of us on points. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that we've got 10 teams. What did I say? Something like 10 teams within 2 wins. Technically, if you count Ryan up at 7-4, right? You got 10 teams between 7-4 and 5. So yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Josh, what do you put David's chances of making the playoffs?
You asking for percentages or what?
Your take. Your
take.
Throw the numbers out the window.
I give Dave a 35% chance
Oh, that's a
to
number.
make it.
Can you elaborate on why 35 and not 34?
It's just the number that came to mind. But I will say I have been thinking about the playoffs and everything, and I realized I literally had this thought. I was like, it would actually probably be great if we have like little to no deans in the playoffs. Like the Hinders we need to up our chances here. And so the less deans that are involved, the better.
It doesn't matter how many Hinders are in the playoffs, Josh. You're not going to win. If it's no one but Maresco is going to maintain the hinderless victories.
Yeah. So all that to say, I'm rooting hard for Dan, Hannah, any other Hinders somehow scoot in, just as long as they don't knock me out. Selfishly.
That's fair. Dave's path to the playoffs. You'd have to beat Ben this week, right? You basically have to win out. So you'd have to go through a lot of Hinders. Ben and then Josh and then Micah, I think, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a Hinder's gauntlet for me to make it in. So Josh, next week we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah. Your points for situation's not that great. If I was glancing, I think, through this a little.
Yeah, it's not my preference. It's not my preference.
Well, the rest of this deck was what, like, if playoffs started now, the seeding would be consolation bracket. Just from a PSA perspective, did you want to touch on anything here, Dave? I know you're gonna have to manually do a lot of this, but
yeah, no, it's good. This was one I discovered this week. I just assumed that we got a 7-team playoff, so I assumed there'd be a 7-team consolation bracket, the same thing, and then come to find out that actually isn't supported by Yahoo right now. So we're still gonna do the consolation bracket. We're gonna mirror the championship bracket format in terms of just one team getting a bye and then no reseeding afterwards. The only difference will be that, the only major difference is we'll have to track it manually because Yahoo won't display your matchups. So really no change. You should be able to go to the app, like just click on the week and then set your lineup, and you'll know who your opponent is. So unlike last year where it was everybody did a battle royale, we'll still have matchups. So you should know that before week 15. But we'll just have to tally who won each week and let you guys know who's advancing. So yeah, that's it. I guess the only difference is the week 16. So I thought about how to do that one because we'll have 3 losers coming out because you got 6 matchups, so 3 teams advance, right, plus the 8 seed is 4. You got 3 losers. So I just figured out of those 3 teams, the 2 lowest scoring in week 16 will move on to the toilet bowl. So essentially, if you're one of the 3 losers in the consolation bracket in week 15, and then you get the highest score of those 3 in week 16, you're safe. But if you lose and then you're one of the 2 lowest scores, those are animals. Those are camels.
Animals.
Love it.
Then you're onto the toilet bowl, right?
So it's effectively, for those 3 teams, it's effectively like a 3-team matchup. So you basically have to beat both teams in your weekly matchup, effectively.
Yep. That's yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet. Well, you'll have to let us know how it goes down there. Hopefully, the rest of us won't be there.
Clark might be in there.
There's a high likelihood that I'm in there. Which actually leads to, we'll talk about this a little bit later with strengths of schedule and stuff. But without getting too far into off-season league changes, is there an appetite or a potential to change this structure, Dave? Or to change, the 7th team, it's been floated around that like 7th team into the playoffs is the highest points total. Is that even possible in Yahoo? And is that something we would consider?
Yeah, I think so. So that was suggested last year. Just didn't get the votes. It might have been 2 years ago. So what I'm going to check is this year when we start the playoffs, I'll just make sure that I'm able to go into the commissioner settings. And if I wanted to manually change the 7 seed, I should be able to, according to everything I can see, I should be able to. I've just never done it before. We can vote on it this year, this off season. I think I put a note later on in this deck, kind of like Ben's situation is pretty much exactly why you would want that, right?
Yeah.
Ben is top 6 and points 4, so everything he can control, right? He should be in the playoffs, but he's got no chance of it because he's, like 5 games back with only 3 to go.
Yeah.
So basically, it's perfect for Ben, right? Ben would be the vignette for why you would make that change. Now the caveat with that is like that would be the fairest answer, right? But it does the win-loss like straight up is part of fantasy football for better for worse. So I think I put it in that blurb, but for example, if we were doing that structure, basically most of the bubble teams right now wouldn't really have a shot in making it in because like Clark, me, Nat, we're all too far back on points 4. So it would basically be between Matt and Ben to see who would get that final spot if it came down to points. Which is good and bad, right? It's a more fair way of doing standing scoring, but it does like some of the randomness of win-loss is kind of we lean into that sometimes as part of the
game.
You
kind of have a trade-off where it becomes more fair and more engaging if your team is putting up points. Yeah. But if you don't have as many points for, but you're there on record, you're going to get less engaged because you don't have any chance of grabbing the 7th spot.
Yeah, and I think that's like part of the trade-off of fantasy in general, right? Like a lot of times we talk about, it's too random. Let's get rid of randomness, right? Let's get rid of kickers. Let's get rid of whatever, right? But I think some of that's part of the game, right? Like if technically this is just like a made-up game where we arbitrarily decide what points count for what, right? So, like head-to-head matchups aren't really a thing. In theory, you could just play the whole year with no head-to-head matchup, because the fairest thing would just be who scores the most points. But we don't do that because we still enjoy that kind of random fluctuation of that. So I think there's always a trade-off, and it's not like there's a right answer one way or another. It just comes down to that's part of the game. So
would we ever consider, if you win the league, maybe say 4 times in a row, you just get to unilaterally make a new rule or a change to the league?
Yeah, I think the league is disbanded if that happens. Actually, I think like by law, there's some bylaw in there where like the league just ceases to exist, and then everyone can choose to come back together except for the person who won it 4 times, right? But
Josh and I were chatting about that the other day, I think, where we won't kick Moresco out of the league. We'll just all leave and start a different league. So Moresco can have Rockets in your base. We'll have to do something different.
There is, I forget the format, but I read about it years ago. There's like a dynasty league format where the pot, like there's like your buy-in part of it, half of it goes to this year's payout and half of it goes to this rolling payout, where basically it's an evergreen pot that just grows year over year until it's either somebody wins the league back to back or 3 times in a row. I think it's back to back. So basically in the dynasty league, whenever there's a champion, everyone is disincentivized to have that person win the next year. Might be 3 times in a row. Might be too short. Yeah. But basically, if you win it back to back or back to back to back, you get that secondary pot that's been growing for years, and the league ends. Right? Like every year there's an annual pot, but half of your buy-in goes to this rolling pot, and somebody who's like a back to back to back champ wins the entire pot, and the league is suspended.
I don't like that.
I'll take half the money from the last 4 years.
If we can retroactively put that in place, I'm fine with that. But yeah, not at this stage of things. Moresco, if you were to make any change to the league, like that you could just implement without question, any thoughts on what you do there?
I'm like Dave probably can tell you from my responses to all the questionnaires, but I'm like a sucker for like limited change. Like I was very pro 7 teams in the playoffs. That was like one of the biggest rules I was for. But like I like when it works. You know, I feel like obviously it's worked for me, but like I just feel like our league, like we have good engagement, we have like good like banter, everything seems to work. So I'm for like talking about the points forward thing for the 7th spot, because I think this year is one of those case in points. But also, Dave made a good point. It basically negates you, Nat, David from all like having a chance these last 3 weeks, or it actually makes. I think the last 3-4 weeks of the season are fun. Like case in point last year for me, like. I had to run the table to make the playoffs and get in there. So it's like, it's one of those things where you have some drama at the end of the year. So I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it. I don't really suggest a ton of rule changes. I kind of just go with the flow, to be honest. So
Ben makes some valid points. Moresco's basically the Patriots or the Chiefs nowadays, just sitting at the top of the league. I do. So Ben and I were chatting about that, actually, to his point here of give some type of incentive or reward to the person with the most points against. Kind of gets to the points for thing as well. You know, I think it rewards people for getting destroyed, I guess, year after year without anything. I don't know how we'd implement it, but
just handing out more pity points to the league.
There should be a pity points award. Just whoever a league voted pity award, and you get like a few dollars of fab or something like that.
For how against, I know me and Clark are against the $10 auction draft. Like, I feel like giving more money like that is just, I don't know. I feel like actually I would be more for points, most points against getting that $10 than the consolation winner.
We are giving Meek a chance at fab, Ben. We're giving him a chance at fab. He doesn't get it most of the time.
He doesn't use the fab anyways.
He's just accumulating it. I would actually be more for, like, I dislike the concept, and I've been vocal about this, but of fab going to the consolation bracket winner. I'd be more okay with draft fab going to the toilet bowl loser, like a proper, like, you're the worst team in the league, you get the number 1 draft pick. So, I mean, you could have a tanking incentive then, which is kind of backwards, but that to me makes more sense. I don't like any of it, but it does make more sense to me.
I think
No,
that takes away the incentive to try to win the consolation. I would be more for that $10 going to the points against person, personally. But
Yeah, I would say I see it both ways. I have some background music over here, but
all good.
Yeah, I think Ben put it in chat as like it is an incentive, right? Because I want, like, my perspective has shifted on fantasy a little bit over the year, which is like used to be like, hey, if you don't finish first, nothing matters, right? But ultimately, like, you can still have fun like nobody says like once you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're not allowed to have fun playing fantasy anymore. So having something in the consolation bracket gives people something to still play for versus just saying, hey, nothing you do matters anymore. Just go home and stop playing. So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, because if it was a snake draft, I know sometimes like the loser of the league gets like first pick next year. So giving auction money to the loser of the toilet bowl would be similar to that. So I see.
Yeah.
That.
Well, and I know we were kind of throwing. Sorry, Josh, do you have something there?
No, I was
It looked like you were
going to say it. Maybe we should go back to snake draft.
Oh, the good old
no.
auto draft for the win.
Or we alternate.
Heck no.
We could alternate.
I mean, Dan does make a good point. As long as our punishments are good enough, like no one's going to want to come in last place, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You're not going to want that auction dollars. But it's kind of like, okay, you get $5-10 at auction, but you still have to
you're good
pennies for 24 hours.
What was I don't remember if I saw it somewhere, if it got thrown around the league, but like of having tiered punishments for everyone in the consolation bracket, and your reward is basically just not getting that bad of a punishment. So like everyone gets punished that's not in the playoffs, but it's like progressively worse the more you get towards the toilet bowl. So your one punishment could be like Josh names my team for a year or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
That was clever. The best one was the jersey. You get to choose a jersey of the player's team. I think it was like 8th place got to choose a jersey of the 3rd place team.
Yeah. Interesting. Co-commissioner is very vocal tonight.
Yeah,
he's tuned in to Level's opinions, you know.
I think he's trying to impress the commissioner.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, while Dave's still here in the background, let's swing over to this guy, which is pretty interesting. This is the strength of schedule analyzer. If you guys can't see it, I can send this out as well. But this basically shows you how your team would have done given anyone else's playing anyone else's schedule, right? So Ben is obviously a hot button team here. Ben would be 9-2 if he had either Maresco or Ryan's schedule compared to the 2-9 that he is. The other story here is that Maresco's team is has a winning record and in a playoff position, regardless of whose schedule he has. So we've mentioned that Maresco doesn't have a lot of points against, but his team, regardless of if he had any of our schedules, would still be pretty dominant at the moment. So
I think he would have a 9-2 schedule. No, you're right. I misread that. Josh,
Ben would be 9-2. Josh, yep. Dave, if your team, I mean, this tends to be a decent indicator of like how good your team is. I think there's only one situation where I'd have a positive record. Dave's team, I keep on forgetting with all the names. You're at the very top. You'd be a kind of a bubble team if you have Ryan's schedules when you'd have the kind of the best result, but kind of rough regardless for you.
Yeah, it's really just a matrix of like who's got good points for, right? And then on the y-axis and then x-axis is just who's got strong points against. So like I'm looking at the Ben's column, like if you look at Laporta Potty up on the top and they just go down the list, I think there's only 2 teams that would be above 3 teams they'd be above 500 if they played Ben's schedule, right? So, you know, Maresco, Joshy, and Kevin. So, I mean, it makes sense because Ben's had a crazy amount of points against. So
it's actually what? Go ahead.
No, I would be 3-8 if I played Ben's schedule, so not too good.
Right. The crazy part, Ryan would be 4-7.
Jonesy on the far right also had a pretty bad schedule. Pretty much everyone aside from a handful of teams would be negative. So doesn't really mean anything. The other piece of this here is this bottom section. This is harder to read, but this is basically if your team was to play every team that week in a given week. So like week 1, Maresco would have been 13-0 if he'd played everyone. Maresco's team, if he'd played everyone every week, would have a record of 103-40. So Maresco's team is still really good. Ben's team would be 4th. So some hot button teams. Ben would definitely be performing better. And then the bottom, still Micah and Mitch. So, take that for what it is. But kind of interesting to look and compare. Like if we did truly have a points were the only thing that mattered league, this is how it would shake out, more or less. I can send that out though. It's kind of interesting to look at, but it's tough to dig into on this thing.
It's fun. It's fun to look at the data. I feel like I'm getting more into that the more like each year. So it's definitely super interesting. But.
Yeah, agreed. Well, while we're on data, and before we just go into the normal recaps, there's a little bit of data that I'll turn over to Maresco that he wanted to share coming up to this week. So Maresco, I'll turn the stage over to you. Just let me know when you want me to flip through.
Yeah. Thank you, Clark. Yeah, I was just going through some of the data from the past 4 years and trying to dig up the last time Josh beat me in fantasy football. And I had to go way back in the league archives, unfortunately. But kind of reminded me watching the Packers and Bears this past week. So a little facts about Josh. He left the league for the second time after losing the championship 2021 to me. You had to go all the way back to the week of December 9th to find the last victory he had against me, which was kind of shocking to me. It was in the playoffs last time he beat me. COVID hadn't happened. Josh hadn't moved to Chicago. And just a reminder, Josh has quit the league twice. But anyways, back to the stats. Some compared Josh's last 5 years, the league being similar to Cowboys, solid squads that just can't get them done, while also quitting. It seems like they're kind of quitting right now. But yeah, and then I think a lot of us remember Josh's obsession with Tom Brady back in the day. You would think it would lead to some championships, but it hasn't. And Josh quit the league twice. And then Josh is a two-time second place finisher. So can we go through the recaps real quick, Clark?
Yeah. Here you go.
So this is the start of the 5 straight wins against Josh. Joe Buck, yourself. What a great team. That was in the regular season, week 3. Then we go to the next year, week 5. He put up a valiant effort, but then we get to the juicy stuff the next week, playoffs. I don't know if Josh remembers this one, but
I do.
Yeah, that's a tough one for him. And then we'll go to the next one. Back to the regular season. His team kind of put up a rough one there. We'll skip over that. But the last one was the kicker. Was we both put up duds. Josh had a chance to take me out of the playoffs last year. And just couldn't do it. Couldn't get his team to do it. But anyways, looking forward to playing you this week, Josh. We both have some buys we have to go through, but I'm hoping we don't have a blocked field goal for the win this week.
Seriously, that was a wild game. I don't know if anybody saw that Packers and Bears game. It's a wild finish.
Bears should have won.
Should have, yeah. Yeah, man, it'll be fun. Got to get over that hump, until I do, I don't really know if there's much I can say anymore.
I do want to bring one more thing up on this call. Clark, you can back me, but I believe Josh owes me something still.
Mm-hmm.
Could you remind him what he owes me?
A coin?
Oh, I think there's been several bets, but the coin is the first thing that pops to my mind.
Yeah, that's the thing that pops to my mind, and I've been waiting 2 years for it.
Yeah,
so
it's supposed to be a coin with I think Maresco's face on it.
I think it's both of our faces, right?
Yeah, it's both faces. I think on both sides. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it would be the coin we'd use to flip for matchups too. But
okay, all right.
Well, Josh, I would like to ask you: would you like to wager anything this week?
Oh yeah.
Not this week.
Really?
No. I just want to focus on getting a win. As much as I was thinking about the matchup a little bit, and I was like, I should just treat this like another week. I was like, no, like I can't do that. Like, it's not just another week. Like, it is a big deal. We've had our matchups over the years and everything, and I've talked a lot of shit. It's not gone well. So, like, there's definitely more to this week than other weeks. So I penciled this matchup in. But I just want to focus on
What is Josh?
victory.
What
And
does
then I'll-
focusing on getting a win look like for you?
Like what does that have to do with betting?
I want all my attention to being focused on making sure that I play the right players so I can get a victory.
I have one more question. Josh, did you really think I would consider the trade you sent me?
Which one?
The one you sent me this week.
What was it? Eckler and
Richardson.
no, it wasn't Richardson.
Yeah, he's tried to trade me Anthony Richardson and Eckler for Ramondre.
No.
Sounds
was-
pretty fair to me. I think you should
You
do that.
did send it
Maresco.
to me.
No, it wasn't Richardson. It was
Yes, it
Eckler and somebody else.
It was Eckler and AR.
It was not AR.
Do we have a?
I have receipts. Hold on.
Okay, go. Yeah,
While
go
you
look
try
for
and find
receipts.
that, League PSAs in terms of trades, November 30th, right, is our trade and waiver keeper deadline. So you can't trade after that date. And if you want to keep anyone that was drafted that is currently on waivers, you have to pick them up and they have to be on your roster from then the remainder of the season, correct? Playoffs. Yeah, go ahead, Dave. I can let you run through this. You know better than I do.
You got it on in one, man. It's you can still make as many waiver pickups as you want after the 30th. The trick is if you drop somebody after the 30th, no matter what, they're not eligible to be kept. So even if they were a keeper and you had them on your roster, you drop them, you pick them back up again. You have to have them on your roster and hold them starting 30 November for them to be eligible next year.
It seems kind of arbitrary. It's almost like dropping a player on Tuesday and wanting to pick them back up on a Thursday before their game, but that's not an option.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like just reading the rules that haven't changed in 10 years.
Oh, those rules, this pesky rules.
Very arbitrary. Although I think I texted a couple of people. I had my own league rule awakening. Like for me, who's always talking about, just know the rules, right? I did not know that Yahoo, if you have a blocked point after attempt, right? So if you're
Yeah.
point after, did you know it's worth 3 points? So if you return that all the way back for a touchback on the other side, it's worth 2 points. But if all your team does is block a point after, it counts as a blocked kick, and all blocked kicks are 3 points for the defense. So
It seems absurd.
I didn't know that. My defense did not block a kick, but somebody else's did block a point after. So, yeah, lesson learned. So maybe that's something we should consider for next year. Maybe we should bump that down. But yeah, Yahoo does not differentiate between a blocked field goal and a blocked point after.
I just need to interject for a moment. Just say I was wrong. I did offer Anthony Richardson and Eckler because I knew he had a bye week. So I was like, oh, maybe he wants a quarterback. But I was wrong.
Well, we haven't covered any of the main recaps or anything. Let's go through those probably relatively quickly for this last week. And then we can get into picks and all that. So let me share. Let's just do this quick.
Was that trade insulting, Maresco? You felt like that was insulting?
No, it wasn't insulting. It's just I'm not going to trade one of my top 2 backs now that Hunt's gone.
You haven't been playing Ramondre.
I know, but Pacheco's back this week.
So
You want to say bye?
We love to see it. We love to see Pacheco coming back.
All right, we're
Are you going
drop
by?
Yep. And by real quick, I mean for the rest of this stream. Yeah. Good talking to you guys.
Bye. Thanks for hopping on.
You
Hey, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. See you guys.
See ya. Alrighty. Good to have the commish and extra guests.
You know what we need for these recaps? Fast 15 minutes music.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what I could
Chris
do?
Berman.
Can you play
Ooh.
the Can you play the new mix for us?
I don't know if I have the whole thing on here is the problem. I have this and I can loop it.
Ride Micah.
I don't know if it'll wash out our voice and stuff. So we'll go over this one quickly. Dan lost. Feels good.
Yeah.
That's 3 in a row for you, right, Clark?
We just put it way low. Yeah, I can't jinx it, but I'm on a 3-game win streak. So I got very lucky as well. I'm catching Matt this upcoming week on his Bipocalypse, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But yeah.
Were you nervous Monday night?
Very. Dan and I were texting a little bit. I did not think by any means that it was a sure thing. I needed like 9 points from CJ Stroud to win this game coming into Monday night. And it was pretty much every single scoring possession, the Texans just hand the ball off to Mixon. Like if they're in the red zone, it just goes to Mixon. It doesn't even matter. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
Painful for Dan. I didn't realize that Mostert had negative points.
Mostert did not play well. Although what won't reflect is the fact that Dan had about 20 points on his Thursday night football matchup with the Commanders until the garbage time drive. Jaden Daniels had like 8 points. Zach Ertz had like 4 points. And who else did he have? Didn't he have someone else? Yeah, Robinson had like 10. He literally scored like 23 points in like 2 minutes at the end of the Redskins game to make this even remotely close. Otherwise, he would have barely broken 90 points.
Is Jay Parker Roma a real person?
He didn't kick like a real person.
That was your go-to person after you couldn't get.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a good matchup. I guess Minnesota just decided not to. He did miss an extra point attempt. But all right, let's move on. Dan, sorry for the loss. Glad I got a win. Another little family matchup here.
Oof,
That
beat down
worked out
of
quite
Ryan.
well for David.
Yep.
Do you
Jeez.
think David can sustain this, you guys? Dave basically needs to have weeks like this every week the rest of the season in order to make the playoffs.
Yes, I think he can, solely because of his wide receivers, Jennings, Brown, and CD.
I kind of disagree though, because I don't think CD. Like, if you watch the Cowboys, they're so bad now. Like he doesn't have
they
anyone
are.
thrown down.
But like, how many targets did CD have? He had 8 receptions, right? Like,
Yeah, but it's still like he had 12 targets. But
yeah,
12
so, like,
targets.
yeah, I mean, I agree, but like also at the same time, like he's an elite receiver. Like there's still those weeks where like even with a shit quarterback, he can get stuff done. So
yeah, I mean, I think Dave has a chance with his receivers, right? He needs his running backs to put up the 25 points they put up this week, and he needs his boy Aubrey to be kicking 15, 20-point games, which is just hard when you don't have a quarterback.
He did have a lot of guys on bye too. So
Yeah, he
he'll
did.
get
Yeah.
Tracy's been good, McBride's been okay, and Murray's actually been pretty good. So
that makes the win probably feel that much better, to be honest, when his starting quarterback and should be tight end 1 in fantasy. Even
and any on the other side of the ball here, any concerns with Ryan's team? It's dropped to 7-4, still in second. He's pretty much locked up a playoff position, but
I mean, what is he, 1-3 in his last 4 matchups, I think?
yeah, because he was right with Maresco for a long time.
Yeah, he was. I mean, yeah, there has to probably be a little bit of concern. But I don't think necessarily it's like panic time necessarily for him. This probably was like Lamar's worst week, right?
Yeah, Lamar did not look good this week.
Yeah.
And I mean, Devontae's not been playing that well. Did he get hurt again? Or did he play the whole game?
Devontae or Lamar?
Devontae.
Yep.
I think he didn't practice today, maybe.
But he didn't leave the game last week.
Hamstring injury. Yeah, he's played through a hamstring injury the last however many games. 2-3
I think
games.
the problem with Brian is choosing the right players. Like he has, I think David mentioned this a little bit. He has so many good players that like he has to choose which ones to start. And sometimes he's not choosing the right people because it just happens with fantasy.
Yeah.
You don't know when who's going to go off. So that's a big thing. But I mean, his team is one of the best rosters in the league for sure. So I wouldn't be like worried. It's just more now comes down to, I don't think he kind of got Tucker. Not, I mean, that was a bad matchup for him, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
To be fair, Ryan, go ahead, Josh.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, like his tight end spot is definitely one of his like main weaknesses right now, because I think Pitts is kind of not looked great the past few weeks. Kraft has been meh. Yeah, you could chalk that up to the matchup. I think Chicago, like one of the best defenses fantasy wise, specifically when you look at the data. But that's all I was gonna say.
I wonder if, and we can move on because we don't want to sit in recaps too long, but I wonder if Ryan's not in a position where he could make a very attractive trade to someone. Like his team's so deep, he could afford to get rid of a couple of starting receivers, for maybe even two or three players for like a superstar stud type player. I mean, that's up to him if he can work that out with someone, but
I mean, he made his trade though, I think, right? Like Pickens was that move that he wanted to make. I know, having had some conversations with him, I think the idea of having some depth going later into the season is appealing to him, which makes sense logically. So
that is fair. Moving on, a middle of the pack playoff bubble rivalry or matchup this last week that Hannah got the better of Matt.
Let's go. Yes.
That Chase Burrow combo still looks to be pretty silly for Matt, but not so much McLaurin this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is one of those, like, we've talked about Matt's team a lot when it comes to that, like Burrow and Chase together. Usually when they put this many points up, his team wins. But the rest of his players, besides Cook, I mean, McLaurin the Commanders didn't look very good last week, right? So,
Saquon's got to be the RB1, right?
It's either him or Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if were you guys tracking this matchup at all on Sunday night?
A little bit, yeah.
Not really.
So, yeah, I think, like, I want to say it was going into the third quarter, or even like, or whatever, like Matt had like 57 points. And then between like the midway point of the fourth quarter, like Burrow and Chase started to put up some numbers at that point and actually made it a lot closer of a matchup. So
yeah, he needed a miracle game from Tank.
Yeah.
Monday night.
Well, it was,
yeah, I mean, props to Hannah. Hannah's been pulling out wins.
Hannah's team looks solid right now.
Yep. Yeah.
Definitely, I think probably in one. I mean, I actually think it's hers to lose. I think Hannah is in the last playoff spot right now. So if she wins out, she's in the playoffs.
Yeah, she's got a tough matchup coming next week. I'm sure we'll touch on that. But
yeah. Well done, Hannah.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Oof.
Waggy destroyed. We don't have to cover too much of this. Mike is in
57.
Not a great spot.
Shambles right now. I mean, I think Dave touched on this in the slides too, but Kevin's team is looking pretty silly right now.
Yeah.
Like he's 6 in a row.
Very good. Very good.
Even
defense wins championships. How many defenses does Waggy have on his roster right now? 3.
Yeah.
So I'll make a bold proclamation here. I think Wegman, based on his record and everything, rest of season, like regular season, like he's got a really good chance of making the playoffs. But I think his chances of doing something in the playoffs is going to come down to Tyreek. And that's the big question mark, because Tyreek has not been good.
Yeah. Clark, I have a question for you. Do you regret dropping Tua?
No, not really. It's like, I don't know if he's been consistently that good. Like, he had one good week. He's had a couple weeks. I regret that Stroud isn't performing better, but no, Tua is too inconsistent to like really trust. I feel like he's got the same problem that Stroud has. Very, very lateral quarterbacks, I feel like.
Yeah.
It is also go ahead, Josh.
No, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say switching topics, but not really. Weggy is currently on pace almost with the record of the lowest lowest points against, easiest strength of schedule of all time. The record in our league is with Mitch in 2015, where he averaged 97.74 points against. Weggy is currently averaging 97.77 points against this season.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, that's a little when you have an opponent that puts up 57 against you, that'll tilt things quite significantly. But
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep.
I'm now
Worst
4
points
points
against.
against.
yeah, the matchup, we're not going to let Maresco talk about this one. We'll just let Josh talk about this one.
Yeah, this is a wild one. I was definitely following this one down to the wire, texting Maresco, Ben about this. I really thought Ben had a really good shot of pulling this one out. And then Josh Allen decided to play hero ball. So it's just yet another painful loss, I feel like, for Ben. I don't know what he's done to deserve this, but the football gods do not love him this year.
Well, I would say, like, I think Bijan and McCaffrey in the late games not doing much really hurt, because when we went into the late games, he was projected to beat me by like 25. Like his team was projected to put up 165 points.
Yeah.
Then McCaffrey because I mean Taysom went off, right? Like,
Yeah.
And then I
Taysom.
mean St. Brown kind of held me in it, putting up similar points. But yeah, it's a bummer. It was great for me. Bummer for Ben when that 35-yard Allen touchdown happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's painful, right? Like, because you can, what's this, McCaffrey's second game back? Like, it's probably going to take him, like, up to, like, 3 to 4 games to kind of, like, break into, like, regular season form, I would imagine. It's like his preseason games.
And he faced tough running defenses his first 2 games back, too.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I have a feeling he's going to run all over the Packers this week. So
it would be fitting. I don't know if there's any bench players that would have changed the outcome here. Not really.
I could add a few more points with my running backs, but that's it.
Yeah. Really unfortunate one for Ben. I think he would have beat everyone else in the league, but don't have to continue to dig down that rabbit hole.
Not me.
Yeah, except for Josh. Josh, we don't know what happened in this game. This makes no sense. This is not how your team is normally constructed. We don't expect this from your players.
Yeah.
I don't know how you go from putting up, what was it last week?
60.
To over 100, adding 100 points to that total with relatively the same squad.
So I actually looked back at all my matchups. This year's actually been one of my better years. 9 out of the 11, or excuse me, 11. So 11 weeks, 8 out of my 11 matchups, I put up over 100 points. And most of those weeks were actually like solid. I think only like 1 or 2 of them are like low hundreds.
So your team's been more consistent this season, aside from those dips.
I've had 2 games where it was like all this. It's just my team did not show up and just dropped 60 burgers. So yeah, if nobody was following it, last minute leading up to the week, Jonesy and I made a trade. Traded DeAndre Hopkins for Bo Nix. I played Bo Nix. Jonesy I have not heard much from him the past few days.
I mean, to be fair, you would have won even if you had played no one at quarterback. So
right.
Yeah,
this one's got to feel good. It's got to feel good.
Yeah.
What's our league scoring record? 170 something?
No, I think
it's like 180 something. I think it's like 187 or something.
It's one of the Ben or Matt ridiculous weeks.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that'll do with recaps. We've lost all of our viewers.
We have one more, don't we?
We know. Well, maybe we won't touch on it because no one's here. You got one more.
Oof.
Natalie gets a win here. Scrapes out a win against the Bears.
Do better, Mitch.
Josh, what do
We
you think
could do
about
a
Mitch's team?
compilation of this?
His team sucks ass. So bad. So fucking bad.
It's
pretty
hard to
bad.
watch.
Yeah, it
Is
really
he going to
is.
set the new league low in total points for?
Probably.
I mean, he's
He's
only
got-
22 points behind Micah.
They're both really bad. They haven't broke 1,000 points through 11 games.
I feel like the different, like Micah's had some bad luck. I feel like overall, like his roster,
He's
roster
made some
changed a little bit.
trades.
He's made some
He's
trades.
tried to
but,
make some
like,
changes.
Mike has
Mitch-
had a weaker points against than Mitch, though.
Yeah, but like let me just poll you guys real quick. Going into the year, you guys probably looked at Mitch's roster, and probably in the back of your mind somewhere it's just like ass. Like that's literally probably the word that came to mind. Am I wrong?
That's not the exact word that came to mind for me.
It wasn't the word that came to mind for me. It was he's trusting in the Bears way too much.
Yeah.
Like-
I think he made. I don't think he
AKA
consciously made a decision. And I think he said this on draft day. He wasn't like all that hyped about the Bears. I just think the way that the stuff fell, he wanted to get the players that were available. And the Bears obviously have been not great. But if Caleb Williams had been insane and that offense is putting up like a bunch of points every week, we'd probably be saying something very different.
So you think
How
like
how many toilet bowls does Mitch have?
too many?
2, I think.
Do you have 2 or 3?
That he's lost or that he's been in. I don't know. We'd have to pull up the record.
It's gonna be
books.
3. It's gonna be 3. Oh my god!
These were our picks for the week.
You think he left that draft and he like looked at his roster and he was like, "Oh fuck, I've got 4 Bears on my roster."
Yeah, I don't think he realized. I did. I mean, I'm obviously not in touch with Mitch that much. I thought that maybe he had moved to Chicago and was just becoming a homer at the time.
Yeah, maybe.
Wow, bad picks this week.
Yeah, Dave really swung for the upset fences.
Ben. Oh man.
You beating Jonesy really, really. Oh wait, sorry. You picked yourself. I did that wrong. So you did actually have that one right, Josh. You're 4-3 with the rest of us.
Yeah. Dang.
My mistake. Here, let's rectify that.
Jeez. You sure I didn't pick Hannah over Matt?
I'm positive. Don't try that again.
Okay.
Tried to do that last week too.
So the 2-timers all went 4 and 3. Everyone else went 2 and 5.
Yeah, we all keep our money. Nothing happens.
Suck it, losers.
Dave, Weggy, Ben, rough picks.
Ben's had a rough one picking.
Yeah, not great. Not great. Chances to redeem themselves. More fab on the line.
Might need to work
David
on
really
that
did
business
pick every
stuff.
underdog.
Yeah. It panned
Except
out for him.
himself.
He picked him.
Except
he didn't
himself.
Pick him, yeah, he didn't pick himself.
That's low.
I guess you could argue that Jonesy was not an
Yeah, Jonesy
underdog
was
by
an
any
underdog,
means. But aside from that, yeah, trying to go against the grain. Our fab this week was closest to 123 points, which goes to Hannah, which is very close.
Nice.
Good job, Hannah.
So $5 a fab to Hannah. We'll let Ben
She now
or
has
Dave
106
know.
fab.
You can initiate it. Yeah, you got to start spending some fab. Maybe we need a penalty in place where like your fab
A
starts
lot of people
siphoning
not
off
spending
after a period
fab.
of time. What do you guys want the fab category to be this week?
Honestly, don't want to do a fab category this week.
You don't want anyone to have a chance to win fab.
No.
Well, we can pull you out of it. So if you win it, it'll go to the next person instead of you. Let's do this.
Can we start? Actually, can you add Mitch a couple times?
Well, no, we're going to do this first to see if we can do a category.
Okay.
If it's no fab, we're not even going to mess with it.
Yes.
Now we just do Mitch and Micah.
Okay, I like that idea.
There's no fab. No, we're not going to give them. They're not even spending it. We're not
Yeah.
going to give them rewards
true.
for just sitting there. Actually, I think Micah did spend fab this week, to be fair. All right. I think that's all we've got aside from picks, right?
Let's do the picks. Let's rock and rolls.
Josh, thanks for throwing that together. Here is the picks for the week.
Did you see what I did with your and Matt's matchup?
I did. Choose as you see fit. Okay, let's see. Is it not loading for you guys? It's not letting me open it.
Yeah. I'm
I
ready.
got it.
Maybe it's just my phone. Oh my gosh. No wonder. Sorry, let me pull it up on the side. Technical difficulties with the old phone. All right. First things first. We will go. Maresca will give you first pick, and then Josh, and then me. Starting with Matt and
What is going on with Matt's team? Is he by
Buys.
Apocalypse?
Oh yeah, I got very lucky. He has
Oh my
Jared
gosh.
Cook, Jamar Chase, Burrow, Kincaid, and Etienne all on bye.
Jared Cook. I didn't know he's still playing football.
Jared, I always say Jared Cook. It is Jared Cook actually. Jared Cook had some procedures, and now he's a running back for the Bills.
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Clark.
I'm also going myself. Did you go me, Josh?
Yeah. I
Or
thought I
neither?
was
Is that
after
what you
Maresca.
said? I know. I probably did. I just got excited.
Yep. Clark's going
You
to be
can go
6-6 after this week. Wow.
You can go first this time.
Oh, no worries. I'm going to go. Wait. Who did I pick?
He does
I
have
think I went.
Bijan.
I'm pretty sure I went Ben.
Taysom Hill.
Oh, you already submitted your picks.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go. This is tough. I'm gonna go Ben. I'm just gonna say that he continues to put up points. We'll see though, but I'm going Ben.
I'm gonna go Dave.
Let's hope Ben doesn't play P. Ryan this week. Even though
I
it's
don't know why
Carolina.
these projections are so close, but I'm definitely going Weggy.
Who's he missing? I was missing the Cincinnati players.
Yeah, Chase Brown, T. Higgins. I don't know. You still got yeah. I don't know. This could be but Natalie. Actually, I might switch. Natalie also has Amari Cooper in here who's on bye. But no, never mind. I'm staying Weggy. Maresca.
Oh, I'm going Waggy.
I'll go Natalie.
All right. Dan versus the Bears.
Yeah, I think this one's easy.
Going Dan.
Clean sweep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Hannah versus Ryan. This one's interesting. Ryan's projected to have a little bit of a comeback week. Tough matchup for Hannah, but Hannah's team has been hot. I don't know who it goes to right now. I lost track. Josh, since you already submitted your picks, who are you doing? Or who did
I'm
you go?
going to go. It's so, just to give a little bit more context, and you guys may or may not know this. Madison's probably going to miss this week. Kittle, I don't know if he practiced today, but he was out last week. I'm going to go Ryan. There's some unknowns with Hannah. So.
I'm also going Ryan.
I'm also going Ryan.
All right. The big match. Actually, no, hold up. No, we're going to do that one last. Go to Micah versus Jonesy first.
Clean sweep.
I'm going Jonesy.
Jonesy.
Clean sweep. All right, good. Glad we got that one out of the way. The last and biggest matchup potentially of the week.
Woo!
I'm going to save my pick till the end, so I'll let you guys discuss this first.
I wish I had Brees this week. And
I wish I had Josh Allen this week.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it this way. So I'm assuming you each are picking yourselves.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. Yeah.
Okay, so then here's your opportunity to vie for my vote. Josh, you can go first. Convince me why I should pick you over Maresca.
I don't have to convince you. I'm very confident in my team. I don't need to convince anybody. I'm very secure in myself, Clark. Thank you.
Okay, that was terrible. Maresca?
If my slideshow didn't convince you, I don't know what else will. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm sticking with history. I'm going Maresca 100%. Locked in and submitted.
I don't see how that was convincing.
He's beat you every single time you all have played since before you joined the league, I'm pretty sure.
Whatever.
Just saying. And he's also 10-1.
He is 10-1. Yeah.
I think this matchup could be. I think missing Allen is big, but you missing Hall kind of evened it out a little bit. But
It does. Yeah.
I could see it either being high scoring or very low scoring, being very close either way. So
if it's gonna be low scoring, I just hope it's not like 60 points.
when I say low scoring, I mean around 100 points.
I'm good with over 100.
We check on Sunday night, and it's like 47-52 going into Monday night.
Do we have Monday night? Oh, yeah, the Ravens.
Yeah, we do.
Monday
We
night.
both do.
Yeah, you all do.
Oh, I have a lot of Monday night. Oh,
It's going to come down to Monday night, I think.
you do too. Wow.
Yep.
There's also rookie quarterbacks going at it.
I mean, I honestly think that not that big of a secret weapon, but I think Amon-Ra is a huge component of and more just any functional piece of the Detroit offense right now seems pretty filthy handy.
It's pretty fun watching this last week.
Yeah, felt like a video game.
Also, last week for me, seeing a tight end score points was huge.
Yeah.
John is good with when Tua's playing. And when Tua's not, he's terrible. So
yeah, I have Johnny in another league, so feels good.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to you both. I'll be eagerly watching your all's matchup. See how it goes. You're not wagering anything, just to be clear.
I guess not. Didn't know I was playing this guy.
What do you want to wager?
A couple $100.
No.
Bottle of whiskey.
Bottle of whiskey.
It could also be a couple $100.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea. Maybe the coin that you owe me. Double it. 2 coins.
2 coins.
Double it.
2 coins.
Okay, actually, you know what?
If you have something creative.
Well, I'll get you a bottle of something.
All right. So we're doing a bottle of something?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fair.
I think that you all should, along with the coin, you should get a plaque with like the record between the two of you or something that has to be hung in the other person's house. It's like Maresco or like Maresco is my daddy or something like that. And you have to hang it in your house or vice versa.
It would go in my office.
Josh, we'll a bottle of something and we'll be enjoyed together while playing cornhole.
Perfect. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely down for this.
So amicable of you two.
We also made the agreement if we came in last place, we'd do Denny's together. So thank God we're both not in consolation.
Yeah.
Well, Mitch will have to go with someone.
Well, did you see it? Have you guys looked at Dave's thing? We're making an exception for Mitch. And also there's like apparently like Dave did the simulator. There's like an 85% chance that Mitch is going to be.
What was the exception for Mitch?
Because there's no
Denny's in the city, I don't think.
Yeah, there's none in the city. So there's this like it's like called like Denny's Pub or something in Brooklyn.
So pint of beer.
Yep. So
Every
that'll
beer takes off an hour.
Yeah. So
I'll say I mean, I love Micah, but I kind of want him see him lose. So he provides entertainment for our league because I feel like Micah and the Denny's would be hilarious.
Yeah. Agreed. That's true. I feel like a bunch of us would go to Denny's with Micah though too. Just show up at random times.
I would go to Denny's to take pictures of Micah at Denny's, and then I would leave him there. But we'll see. We're only a few weeks away from the that coming around. So best of luck to everyone on the bubble with the meaningful matchups this week. We'll see what happens.